Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB and today is the 17th of February 2025 and unfortunately guys, the price of Bitcoin in the global cryptocurrency market is not looking good, and what is a bit worrisome guys is the volume of stable coins as well as the 24-hour volume is not looking good either. So it's going to be really interesting to see if the volume does actually pick up pace on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Now in the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies guys, since the last year or so, a lot of presidential candidates are getting actively involved in it. Now we know President Donald Trump, he is now a massive advocate of Bitcoin, and along with him guys, President Javier Milei, who is from Argentina, he's a massive advocate of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and roughly around a year ago guys, he did go out and visit President Nayib Bukele from El Salvador, and he wanted to go out and learn things from their experience in Bitcoin. But the news that I'm going to be talking about has to do with this meme coin, and unfortunately guys, the meme coin associated with him, that is Libra, it did actually go out and launch, but looks like it was a complete disaster. So in today's episode, we'll definitely take a deep dive into this. Now look guys, a lot of the left-leaning mainstream media, they are definitely not fans of him, and they are providing quite a lot of fake news and misleading information, so we definitely need to be aware of that. Because look guys, from a political point of view, mainstream media is extremely left-leaning and they oppose everything what Republicans or right-wing ideologies talk about. So we'll definitely go and touch base on what is it that the Associated Press is saying regarding the president of Argentina. Now ever since BlackRock got into Bitcoin and ETF in particular, the entire narrative regarding Bitcoin and ETF has changed, hasn't it? And we do have some really interesting update guys. Barclays, which is one of the oldest banks in England, they have gone ahead and purchased well over $100 million worth of Bitcoin ETF stake, and this is connected to BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF, so we'll definitely take a deep dive into this. And along with this guys, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, they have also gone ahead and increased the ETF holding, so we'll definitely go ahead and touch base on this news. Now me personally guys, I'm not a fan of ETF as such, because according to me guys, it only helps the rich getting richer, rather than holding ETF. I personally think that these companies should be buying the actual Bitcoin, but nonetheless guys, this is definitely interesting news. Now we also have some really interesting news all the way from the leading cryptocurrency exchange in US, and that is to do with Coinbase. And check this out guys, Coinbase and Aston Martin Aramco, they have a really interesting partnership. Now what makes this partnership really unique guys is, they're definitely ditching the fiat currency. And so far as this partnership is concerned, the entire transactions will be taking place in cryptocurrencies, and they're using Circle USDC as a stable coin for that. Really interesting development in my honest opinion. So we'll take a deep dive into this. Now we do have some unfortunate news all the way from India. Now since the last 2 years guys, India has hurdled with a lot of hacks and attacks, isn't it? And the next news I'm going to be talking about is regarding India's Director of Enforcement, also called as ED. And they have seized $190 million in crypto linked to BitConnect Ponzi scheme. Now look guys, back in the day, there was a really iconic person called as Kumbani, and go to YouTube guys and just type in Satish Kumbani and you would know what I'm talking about. And the way he used to do his introduction was absolutely crazy and wild. And regarding his project guys, it did actually turn out to be a massive Ponzi scheme. So we'll go ahead and revisit this entire story. Now the final news guys is kind of like a positive one. And this is all the way from France, and Bybit guys, which is one of the leading exchanges, they've asked to stop serving customers in France, but there's a really positive and interesting development, because Bybit guys is officially removed from France's AMF blacklist, and now looks like Bybit is going ahead for MiCA application as well, so really interesting development. So quite a lot of partnership and news to cover guys at the global level, and like we do in every Crypto and Coffee 88 series, we will be looking at 2 news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East, and both the news guys are absolutely massive one. And the first news is from the capital of United Arab Emirates, that is Abu Dhabi, and Abu Dhabi's sovereign wealth fund, that is Mubadala guys. They have stockpiled $436 million in BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF shares, so we'll definitely go ahead and take a deep dive into this. Now look guys, BlackRock getting into the Bitcoin game is definitely a massive deal, and this just shows the impact of BlackRock not just in the Bitcoin space but also for the broader cryptocurrency ecosystem in my honest opinion. Now the second news guys I'm going to be talking about has to do with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and this is connected to artificial intelligence. An AI chip startup called as Grok, they have secured $1.5 billion commitment from Saudi Arabia, so we'll definitely go ahead and have a look at this. So quite a lot of cover guys in today's episode. Let's kickstart with it right away. Thank you to our sponsors for being part of the blockchain DXB journey. Firstly, Advanced Media. Advanced Media, guys, is the largest distributor of professional video, photo, broadcast and cinematic equipment and accessories in the Middle East and MENA region. With over 2 decades of experience, Advanced Media is now the largest distributor in the Middle East, representing more than 100 recognizable brands, including brands such as Zeiss, DJI, Hasselblad, Red and Rode. As a matter of fact, guys, the very mic that I'm recording is being sponsored by Advanced Media as well. And Advanced Media has showrooms in Saudi Arabia and services as well. Looks like they're definitely taking the Middle East by storm. And here's the beautiful thing, guys. They're taking corporate social responsibility very seriously. And they're focusing on 3 Ps. That is people, planet, and prosperity. Now listen, guys, if you do want to find out more information regarding the statement of corporate social responsibility, check out the website, that is www.amt.tv. And here's the beautiful thing, guys. They also want to be a leader and set an example and reputation as a pioneer and member of the community. And in doing so, guys, they also have an AMT scholarship with SAE Institute in Dubai, UAE. So definitely check it out. And also, guys, Advanced Media is committed to persistently developing, organizing, and hosting training workshops, seminars, and community events that educate, inform, and familiarize consumers with new equipment and the latest technological advances. So listen, guys, do one thing. If you do want to support this channel, go to the website, that is www.amt.tv, and follow the social media channels as well. All of the details are in the show notes below. Next, Startup OI is global one-tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called the Race Pace Podcast. So check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And the Race Pace Podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gov Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs. And these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen, guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing. Go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform. Check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And finally, guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now, guys, since you've taken care of that, let's kickstart by looking at the global cryptocurrency market. Now, straight off the bat, guys, if you look at the market sentiment, it is still at fear and the number associated is 38. So what I'd really recommend you to do is, guys, go to CoinMarketCap, and towards the right side, you will see the market sentiment. Now, what I'm really not liking regarding today's cryptocurrency market, guys, is the volume of stable coins is low, and even the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market is not looking that great. Because look, when the prices are actually going down, guys, I'd really like to see the volume of stablecoins picking up. And last week, guys, the Biden inflation or CPI numbers were out, isn't it? So keeping all this thing in mind, I'd really like to see the volume of stablecoins to be bumping up. But let's see, guys, maybe Tuesdays and Wednesdays the numbers might show completely different. Now, if you look at the global cryptocurrency market right now, it is at $3.19 trillion. And since the last 24 hours, it is down by 0.77%. If you look at the total cryptocurrency market volume, guys, it is at $70.01 billion. And since the last 24 hours, it is actually up by 20.02%. Now, one thing which I repeat quite often, guys, is the volume of decentralized finance. Because look, no matter what happens in the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency space, the volume of decentralized finance is always ridiculously low. And today it is well below the $6 billion mark. It is only at $5.53 billion. And decentralized finance, guys, as of today, is accounting for 7.90% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. And if you look at the total value locked, it is on a downtrend, and the total value locked across all decentralized protocols is only at $109.37 billion. Now, Lido is still dominating so far as the total value locked is concerned, and the total value locked is $25.27 billion. And one matrix, guys, as an industry we definitely need to keep an eye on, that is the decentralized to centralized exchange dominance, and today it is at 29.29%. Now, let's quickly run through the volume of decentralized exchanges. And last week, guys, in my Crypto and Coffee Date series, I talked about a really interesting trend that I personally observe, and that is to do with the volume of Uniswap. And for some bizarre reason, guys, only on Thursdays the volume of Uniswap tends to be picking up pace. And today, guys, it is at number 2nd, and the number 1, guys, is PancakeSwap, and the 24-hour volume of PancakeSwap is at $2.55 billion. Uniswap today is at number 2nd, and its volume is $1.07 billion. Radium, guys, is at number 3rd, and its volume is well below the $1 billion mark. It is at $845.51 million. Meteor, guys, which has been consistently in the top 5 since the last few months, it is at number 4th, and it is at $658.09 million. Orca, guys, is at number 5th, and its volume is $522.22 million. Now, let's quickly run through the volume of stablecoins. And as I mentioned earlier, guys, I would really like to see this number well above the $100 billion mark, because then we could confidently state that in the next coming days and weeks, there is a very high possibility that these stablecoins will be converted or be transferred back into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And unfortunately, guys, right now the volume is only at $63.88 billion. And today, guys, stablecoins is accounting for 91.24% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. And out of the $63.88 billion, guys, Tether USDT is accounting for $55.93 billion. Circle USDC is at number 2nd, and its 24-hour volume is $5.26 billion. And at number 3rd, guys, is FDUSD, and its 24-hour volume is $3.43 billion. Now, let's quickly run to the market cap, 24-hour trading volume and dominance between Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the numbers are pretty much the same as last week, guys. And Bitcoin's market cap is well below the $2 trillion mark. It is only at $1.91 trillion. Ethereum is at $332 billion. Now look, guys, let's say if the Biden inflation numbers or inflation numbers was on a downtrend, I'm pretty much sure the market cap would have definitely pumped up. So look, guys, it is really important to understand the impact of CPI or Biden inflation numbers, because based on that, guys, Federal Chair Jerome Powell will be making a decision whether to keep the interest rate, reduce the interest rate, or increase it. And Jerome Powell, guys, based on this and other economic factors, there is a very high possibility he might actually keep the interest rate the same. And that, to be honest, guys, will definitely reflect positively for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, if you look at the 24-hour trading volume, guys, for Bitcoin, it is only at $20.16 billion, whereas Ethereum is at $12.39 billion. Now, what I'd really recommend you to do is, guys, keep a track of the 24-hour volume of stablecoins and then compare it with the 24-hour trading volume, and that would give you some indication as to which direction the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are heading towards. And I'd really recommend you guys to go ahead and track this volume for Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Now, so far as the dominance of Bitcoin is concerned, guys, today it is below the 60% mark. It is at 59.68%, whereas Ethereum's dominance is at 10.30%. Now let me do one thing, guys. Let me go ahead and look at the market cap between XRP, Ripple and Tether USDT, because last week, guys, they were neck to neck, isn't it? But I'm looking at it via coin market cap, guys, and looks like Ripple's market cap has definitely gone off the chart, and today it is at $154 billion, and its market cap is more than $12 billion of that of Tether USDT's market cap, because Tether's market cap is at $142 billion. Now look guys, I'm definitely anticipating the prices of XRP or Ripple to be pumping up, because look, the case regarding SEC is kind of like dissolved right now, isn't it? And with the stablecoin that is RLUSD, things are definitely looking good for Ripple or XRP. But look, all price predictions are 100% right, 50% of the time. Now in my Blockchain DXB's podcast, I do have a Crypto of 88 series, and in that series guys, I tend to look at one new matrix every day. And what I want to do is guys, I want to look at the real world asset tokens by market capitalization, because ever since BlackRock's CEO, that is Larry Fink, talked about real world asset tokenization, everyone is talking about real world asset tokenization. So let's go ahead and take a deep dive into the top 5 tokens by market capitalization. And the first one guys is Chainlink, and its market cap is at $12.37 billion. The second one guys is Avalanche, and its market cap is at a staggering $10.53 billion. The third one is Hedera, which by the way does not use blockchain technology as such. They work on a completely different protocol, and that is called as Gossip Protocol. But nonetheless guys, so far as RW assets by tokens is concerned, its market cap is at $9.30 billion. Mantra is at number 4th, and its market cap is at $7.24 billion. And Ondo guys is at number 5th, and its market cap is below the $5 billion mark. It is at $4.05 billion. Now let's go ahead and look at the king of all kings, that is Bitcoin. And the price of Bitcoin guys is well below the $100,000 mark. It is at $97,738. And since the last 24 hours it is up by 1.90%. And since the last 7 days it is up by 1.45%. Now look guys, because the Biden inflation numbers are out, I'm pretty much sure it has indirectly impacted the price of Bitcoin. Let's say guys, if the inflation numbers would have cooled down, in that case the prices of Bitcoin should have technically pumped up. Now it's really important to understand guys that the CPI numbers or by the inflation numbers that were out, that was for the month of January, and that was when the left-leaning administration by Joe Biden was still in charge. So it's going to be really interesting to see guys, with Trump taking over, what kind of an impact does it have on inflation. And on a side note guys, one of the projects associated with President Donald Trump is Doge, that is Department of Government Efficiency led by Elon Musk. And one of the great ideas thrown across is that this particular data should be available real time, rather than looking at the data almost a month later. That to be honest does make a lot of sense, isn't it? So hopefully guys, with the Doge department being in charge, we might be looking at inflation at real time, and the decisions would be done real time as well. So let's see if that development does actually take place and come into fruition. Now regarding Ethereum guys, the price of Ethereum is at $2,733, and since the last 24 hours it is up by 4.63%, and since the last 7 days it is down by 1.11%. Ripple or XRP guys is at $2.47, and since the last 24 hours it is up by 1.62%. And since the last 7 days it is up by 3.89%. Now look guys, when President Donald Trump went ahead and launched his token, the market went completely berserk, and the market cap of Trump's meme coin was at number 2nd, just below Dogecoin. And at its peak guys, the market cap of Trump token was at $13 billion. It has definitely fallen miserably since then, but looks like because of that particular news guys, Argentinian president, that is Javier Milei, he has decided to take a similar move, and his official Twitter X account guys did actually go and launch a project called as Libra, and they promoted it as a tool for economic growth and small business funding. However guys, the project was a complete disaster, and the token did fall miserably as well after the launch. And the coin guys was created by KIP Protocol and Hayden Davis, and they are linked to a website called as VivaLibertyProject.com. And this particular token guys was linked to a project called as VivaLibertyProject.com, which is kind of one of the words used by President of Argentina. But look guys, unfortunately the token collapsed. It looks like the team that is managing the Twitter X account of President of Argentina did actually go ahead and delete the post after a few hours, and because of that, the coin's value kept on going down even further. It looks like a lot of investors did actually lose a lot of money. And here's the interesting thing guys, the president's office later clarified that the president had absolutely no involvement in the coin's development, and because of that they decided to go ahead and delete the post. to prevent speculations and limit further exposure to the project. Now this is kind of like creating quite a lot of chaos in Argentinian politics. Now look guys, the president of Argentina, that is Javier Milei, is definitely a genius person, and he's kind of like the Donald Trump version of Argentina, and based on my understanding guys, he has done phenomenal and great things for Argentina. But look, the left-leaning administration all over the world, they definitely do not like great things happening for their own country. And Associated Press is one of them, who by the way also banned from the Oval Office and Air Force One indefinitely. And one of the reasons why President Donald Trump did that is because they're extremely left-leaning, and they are providing quite a lot of misleading and fake news and incorrect information. And via Associated Press website guys, it does actually state that political opponent and former head of Argentinian Central Bank, that is Claudia Luzango, along with other attorneys, have filed charges against the president of Argentina, and they want to go ahead and impeach them. Looks like this is a classic theme that is echoed by left-leaning administration, isn't it? No matter what happens, they directly go ahead and impeach the other person, and I'm pretty much sure guys, they might be accusing him for racism for absolutely no reason as well. But look guys, on a positive note, if you look at it, a lot of the presidential candidates are now getting involved in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. That, to be honest, is definitely a brilliant move in my honest opinion. Now granted guys, there might be ups and downs, but that is something which happens in every industry as well. The only thing I can say is guys, before making absolutely any investment decisions, make sure you go out and do your own research. It is great if you go out and listen to podcasts or YouTube channels, but don't take their own word for it. Make sure you go out and do your own research. Always verify and do not trust. Now guys, let's go ahead and discuss some news all the way from the oldest bank in England, and Barclays Bank guys. They have disclosed $131 million Bitcoin ETF stake. So let me go ahead and give out more information regarding this. And Barclays Bank guys, they have disclosed a holding of 2,473,64 shares in BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, and it was valued at $131 million as of 31st of December 2024, and that was according to a recent SEC filing. Now the official SEC filings guys can be found out in the show notes below. And here's the interesting thing guys, the transaction took place in Q4 of 2024, aligning with the post-election surge in Bitcoin price, and right now the price of Bitcoin is around the $97,000 mark, isn't it? So look guys, this particular move highlights the growing institutional adoption of Bitcoin ETFs, and even Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan guys, they are doing something similar. And Goldman guys, they have reported a 121% increase in Bitcoin ETF holdings, and their total holdings now is at $1.57 billion. And so far as JP Morgan's exposure is concerned, it is almost on the verge of touching the $1 billion mark. It is at $964,322 to be precise. Now look guys, so far as the US Bitcoin ETF is concerned, they have seen $5 billion in inflows in January of 2025. And here's the thing guys, analysts are suggesting that over $50 billion in inflows throughout the year, and this is based on information from Farside investors. Now the only reason why this is possible guys is because of President Donald Trump, isn't it? And he is now a massive advocate of Bitcoin, and whether we like it or not guys, politics and politicians, they definitely have a very strong say in the trajectory and direction of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So definitely interesting development. Now guys, let's go ahead and discuss the next 3 news for today. And the first one is a really interesting one because it involves quite a lot of parties: Aston Martin, Aramco, Coinbase, as well as Circle. And the news essentially is that Aston Martin's Aramco Formula One team, they have announced a partnership with Coinbase. Now here's where it gets interesting guys, because this entire partnership will be fully paid in cryptocurrencies, and they are including Circle's USDC stablecoin. Now look guys, this is definitely a massive news, because it looks like they're completely ditching the fiat currency. And I've been saying this over and over again guys, when you talk about Circle USDC, since 2023 they've been making quite a lot of partnership. And regarding this news, this marks Coinbase's first sports partnership funded entirely with cryptocurrencies, and they are debuting it with Formula One. Really interesting news. And looks like Coinbase is aiming to push the boundaries alongside Aston Martin's Aramco Formula One team, and they're doing that to promote global economic freedom. Definitely positive news. But the next news guys I'm going to be talking about is definitely not a positive news, and this is connected to Satish Kumbani. And look, guys, he might be one of the cheesiest cryptocurrency scammers of all time. And as I mentioned earlier, guys, what I'd really recommend you to do is go to YouTube and look at Satish Kumbani, and the way how he used to introduce BitConnect was a really cheesy and interesting way. So please feel free to go ahead and have a laugh at that. Now the news essentially is that Indian Director of Enforcement, that is ED, they have seized $190 million in crypto linked to BitConnect's Ponzi scheme, along with cash, a car, as well as digital services, and BitConnect's fraudulent lending program, guys. Promised ridiculous high returns, but they diverted the funds to company-controlled wallets, and this particular scheme, guys, did go completely belly up and collapse in 2018, with US authorities charging founder Satish Kumbani and sentencing top promoter Glenn Arauco for 38 months. Now Satish Kumbani, guys, remains at large at this point of time, and the efforts to recover $2.4 billion is still a mystery. Now if you do need more information regarding this, guys, Bitcoin.com has published a really interesting article, and as I mentioned earlier, guys, go to YouTube and just watch some of his videos. Absolutely cheesy and really crazy, to be honest. And unfortunately, guys, people did actually lose a lot of money, and this was well before the 2020 era as well. But so I'm kind of glad that the Indian Director of Enforcement did actually see some money, which is ridiculously low, but nonetheless $190 million I'm pretty much sure can definitely save some lives. Now guys, let's go ahead and discuss some interesting news regarding Bybit. And Ben Zhu, guys, is a co-founder and CEO of Bybit, did actually mention via Twitter that after more than 2 years of working with French regulators through multiple remediation efforts, Bybit is now officially removed from the France AMF blacklist. And this, to be honest, guys, is definitely positive news, which just means that now they might be able to serve the residents of France. And he also mentioned via Twitter, guys, that Bybit will be applying for MiCA licenses. Definitely positive news. Now, as I mentioned earlier, guys, it is important that we go ahead and verify these details as well. And if you actually go to the show notes below, guys, there's an official website and database for the French government, and you can actually check that Bybit's name is no longer on the blacklist. So definitely interesting news. So these were the news, guys, on the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency and blockchain world. Now let's look at two news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. And both the news, guys, are definitely positive news. And the first one is regarding Abu Dhabi sovereign wealth fund Mubadala, and they have stockpiled $430 million in BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF shares. So let me go ahead and give out more information regarding this. And Abu Dhabi sovereign wealth fund Mubadala investment company, guys, they have purchased almost $500 million worth of BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF shares, $436 million to be precise. And Mubadala's investment, guys, was in the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF, which is a Nasdaq-listed spot Bitcoin ETF, and Mubadala bought 8.2 million shares during the fourth quarter of last year, and no prior holdings in BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF was disclosed in the previous quarter filings, so it looks like this is a completely new holding by them. And there's an SEC disclosure as well, guys, and it clearly states that the purchase was revealed in a quarterly US equity ownership report, which was filed with the US Securities and Exchange Commission. Now in US, guys, under the Trump administration, there are some indications regarding a strategic crypto reserve, and that particular reserve might actually include Bitcoin as well. And if that thing happens, guys, I'm pretty much sure it's going to be positive, not just for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but also for Bitcoin ETF shares as well. So definitely interesting move by Mubadala team. And Mubadala's move, guys, also suggests an emerging global race among countries to invest in Bitcoin. And right now, if you look at it, guys, governments such as US, China, UK and El Salvador are currently holding Bitcoin as well. And just a few minutes ago, guys, I talked about Barclays Bank, isn't it? And they also disclosed $131 million in BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin ETF Trust. And along with that, I also talked about Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. And right now, guys, in the United States of America, only the Republican states are advocating for their own crypto investment initiative. And right now, Bitcoin-related bills by the Republican states are either pending or under active review in 21 US states. And so far as Democratic states are concerned, guys, they're definitely not fans of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. They definitely want more control over your spendings, and they are focused more on central bank digital currencies, and they are focusing on cancel culture, and they are focused on being woke instead, isn't it? But look, guys, so far as Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is concerned, it's going to be really interesting to see if you have a crypto strategic reserve, or even better if you have a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Only time will tell what the outcome to this is. And once that thing happens, guys, I'm pretty much sure it's going to have a positive impact on the Bitcoin ETF shares. So definitely a positive move by Mubadala team. Now guys, let's go and discuss second news. And this is from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. An AI chip startup company called as Grok. They have secured $1.5 billion commitment from Saudi Arabia. So let me go ahead and give out more information regarding this. Now it's really important to understand, guys, this Grok is spelled completely different to Twitter's Grok. This has a Q at the end, whereas Twitter X Space's Grok has a K. And Grok, guys, they have secured $1.5 billion commitment from Saudi Arabia. And they are a US semiconductor company, and they have secured $1.5 billion investment from Saudi Arabia to expand AI chip delivery. And this investment, guys, will fund Grok's expansion of its AI chip infrastructure in Saudi Arabia. And Grok was founded by former Alphabet AI chip engineer and is based in Silicon Valley. And Grok produces AI interference chip designed to optimize speed and execute commands for pre-trained models. And they already have an agreement with Aramco Digital, which is a subsidiary of all major Aramco. Now Grok and Aramco Digital, guys, they established a critical AI hub at Daman in December, and I'm pretty much sure, guys, I definitely covered this in the Blockchain DXB podcast. Now regarding this news, Grok will receive Saudi investment funds over the course of this year, and they also plan to expand the existing data centers in Daman and Saudi Arabia. And here's the interesting thing, guys. Grok's AI chip specializes in rapid responses for chatbots and large language models as well. But Grok's AI chips are subject to US export controls, but the company has already obtained license for shipment to demand. And regarding the funding, guys, the funding commitment was announced in Saudi Arabia's global technology event, which is called as Leap 2025. And at Leap 2025, guys, it was actually announced that Saudi Arabia secured a total of $14.9 billion in new AI investment. Definitely positive news. And Grok, guys, they're also supporting Alarm AI, and the expanded demand center will support Alarm, which is an AI language model developed by the Saudi government. And Alarm, guys, is capable of working on both Arabic and English, and looks like they're definitely getting a lot of push by the Saudi government. And the Alarm model is part of Saudi Arabia's broader efforts to lead in AI technology. And in August of last year, guys, Grok reached a valuation of $2.8 billion after a significant funding round, and the major investors include Cisco Investment, Samsung Catalyst Fund, and BlackRock's private equity partners as well. And I believe the funding round was amounting to around $640 million. And look, so far as the global expansion plan is concerned, the Saudi investment aligns with Grok's protocols of expanding its AI technology globally. So definitely interesting news. And I've been saying this for almost a year now, guys. When we talk about artificial intelligence, Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, they're definitely taking leaps and bounds in the world of Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and even artificial intelligence. So definitely positive news. So these were the newscasts on the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, blockchain, and artificial intelligence world from Blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now for the next few minutes is going to be an Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So let's kick start with the Ask Me Anything series. Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB. Listening to the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. I have a question by Clint who asks, will Barclays increase ETF stake drive higher institutional Bitcoin adoption in 2025? This, to be honest, Clint, is such a really interesting question, considering the fact when you talk about Barclays, they were founded in 1690, and it is one of the largest financial institutions in the world. And if you look at their net worth, it is well over $40 billion, and they have a global presence in over 40 countries. And me personally, I did have a stint working with Barclaycard, which is a part of Barclays company, and they were the first to issue credit cards in Europe. Now look, so far as Barclays is concerned, Clint, they have a new CEO that is CS Venkatkrishnan, and Barclays as such has been known for its commitment to innovation and adapting to new market opportunities. And if you look at the bank's recent increased stake in BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, it is a clear sign of growing institutional confidence in Bitcoin, and it could have a significant impact on institutional adoption in 2025. And what I really feel, Clint, is by investing in $131 million in Bitcoin ETF, Barclays, according to me, is demonstrating a commitment to the asset class that I very strongly feel could inspire the financial institutions in UK, and who's to say maybe NatWest Bank might do that, maybe even Santander Bank as well. Now look, Glenn, this move not only shows that Bitcoin is becoming more integrated into traditional finance, but it also positions Barclays as a key player in the institutional cryptocurrency space, and as more legacy financial institutions adopt crypto-backed investment vehicles like, let's say, Bitcoin ETF or even Ethereum ETF, we are likely to see greater legitimacy, stability and regulatory clarity, which at a macro level is definitely needed, because this would drive more adoption by hedge funds, pension funds and large investors. And right now, there are so many price predictions going on, and Klein, a lot of analysts are actually projecting the price of Bitcoin to reach $200,000 by late 2025, which does coincide with 18 months from the Bitcoin halving, and historically 18 months after the Bitcoin halving, it has always reached a new all-time high. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Bitcoin is actually perceived as a store of value, and more importantly has a hedge against inflation. So I very strongly feel, Glenn, that Barclays' position, along with other players like I mentioned earlier like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, boosting the ETF holdings is setting the stage for more widespread institutional adoption, paving the way for Bitcoin's mainstream acceptance of 2025. So look, in short term, I very strongly feel, Glenn, Barclays' increased ETF stake is likely to drive a domino effect, and this will foster even greater institutional interest in further cementing Bitcoin's place in global finance. So definitely interesting question. And that's about all, guys, from the Ask Me Anything series on Blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating and share the word across. Remember, Monday to Thursdays, 8 am to 8:30 am, we have the Blockchain DXB podcast, where we cover top news and information pertaining to the price of Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi and Metaverse. And we also look at 2 news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi and Metaverse. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a nice one. Bye-bye.